All right, the session just started, but I'll give everybody a couple minutes to see who's going to join. All right, I think let's get started. Thank you everyone for joining us for You're So Valuable, Demonstrable Benefit for Every Buyer with Reyno Stol. My name is Brittany Pierce and I am the Senior Content Writer at Consensus, and I will be your moderator for today's session. DEMOFEST is presented by Consensus. Consensus is intelligent demo automation software that helps scale pre-sales with interactive video demos. You can learn more at goconsensus.com or view the automated micro demo at the link in the Docs tab on the right of your screen. Consensus is proud to provide this event for free to all attendees. However, we would like to invite each of you to donate to our company's humanitarian organizations if you would like to. You can learn more about this and donate by visiting the DEMOFEST Gives Back booth in our virtual expo hall under the Booths tab, or follow the link in the Docs tab on the right of your screen. We invite you to join in on our DEMOFEST community on Discord. Our community is where you can connect with speakers, get exclusive access to content and events, and where the conversation will continue long after DEMOFEST has ended. We encourage all attendees to join us and so many others. You can join the community by clicking the link in the Docs tab. We encourage you to participate in today's session. On the right side of your console, you can see a few ways to engage with us throughout the session. The chat function will allow you to engage with us as well as other attendees. Throughout the session, you may see a few polls. We encourage you to participate as your feedback is important to us. Our speaker will be taking questions from the audience at the end of the session, but we encourage you to submit questions at any time through the Q&A box. If at any time you're having technical difficulties, head to the gear on the bottom of your screen. Then navigate to the help document to troubleshoot common issues. And now I would like to introduce our speaker. Reyno Stol is the head of international pre-sales at ATOSS Software. His passion is to conduct global business while being a local expert. Building on his experience at different start and scale-ups, he is now leading the growing and international pre-sales team at ATOSS. When not on pre-sales adventures, you can find him on a sailboat. And with that, I turn the time over to you, Reyno.
Great, thanks a lot, Brittany, and hello everyone, welcome. Good morning to everyone in the US, good evening to the ones in Europe and far beyond. So my name is Reyno Stol, I'm based in the Netherlands and indeed, as introduced, head of international pre-sales at ATOSS Software. We will talk a lot about value today. And let me share my screen. Just like Brittany just introduced, I love interaction. So please feel free to write all your questions in the Q&A or in the session chat on the right, and I'll be happy to answer them. I will also ask a few questions during the presentation. So I would love for you to engage and to get back to me there. So what are we going to talk about today? There are a few things that we'll cover, a few topics. And the first one is about what. So what are we going to cover? We're going to cover the what. We're going to cover what we are selling. Are we selling a product or are we selling something else? We'll be talking about no pain, no gain. And this is not about the gym because that's actually not my strong suit. It's about finding pain in sales projects. And at your buyers and how that's relevant. We'll talk a little bit about my childhood, growing from an infant to become an expert, and maybe something else in the future. and we'll do a short sales experiment together. So it's a thought experiment. Don't worry, you don't have to do any selling directly in here, but we'll do a thought experiment together and see how we can add value there. We'll cover different kinds of objections and how to handle them. And this is, in that sense, not a basic sales training, but it's more about the concept of objections and how to handle them. We'll cover a few buyer types and my ideas about that. And we'll close off with some contact details and how you can join me in the future. So, talking about what? The question I would like to ask you is, what are you selling? Are you selling a product or are you selling something else? And as you can guess from the title of this event, I would propose to sell value. But the question is, what are you selling right now? Is there a customer that gets in touch with you and asks you for a demo, and do you then get back to them, giving them that demo? Maybe they ask for a price. Do you then give them that price? Maybe they ask for specific features. Do you then explain those features? Or do you sell value? What business are you in? Are you in software? Are you in a niche within software? I, for example, sell workforce management software. What is this niche that you're in, and how do you sell value there? Then that all leads to, are you solving a pain? Because basically my answer to today's question, what are you selling, is I'm selling value, and with that I'm solving pain. And if you take that away from me right now, then you can already leave this talk, because that's my message. That's what I want to tell you today. I will dive a bit deeper into that in a moment, but I would first like to get to know you a little bit, since I don't see you all. I just would like to ask you this question, and maybe Brittany can help me if we get any responses. So please write a response in the chat. What role are you currently in? So just so that I get to know you, know what audience I'm talking to.
Looks like there's a lot of pre-sales so far. There's a little bit of coaching, training, but yes, mostly pre-sales. And some pre-sales leadership. Pre-sales ops. Pre-sales intern. So we've got like all spectrums of levels of people working in pre-sales. Another trainer. Yep, more pre-sales.
Great.
Pre-sales.
Thanks a lot for your responses. So indeed, within the pre-sales niche, I think we've got all different roles. I don't see any sales in there, account executives or account managers. Great, then I think that's the right audience for this talk. Maybe let me first introduce myself as well. So the question is, who's talking? My name is Reyno Stol. I'm based right here on this red dot in the Netherlands. I live in a village close to Utrecht in central Netherlands. If during this talk you hear a harsh K or a ch, then sorry, there's no health issue. That's just my mother tongue acting up. I was born in the Netherlands. I have been working in the Netherlands, but I work in a very international environment. And that leads to some of my passions. So I took together a few photos of my last 30 days, some things I did. So there has been many travels. In the center, you can see a picture of me and my wife attending an event. We got married last year. Her name is Stephanie. I love her. That's, of course, a big part of my life. And on the right side, there's a hobby of mine, that's sailing. As was already said in the introduction. The weather in the Netherlands right now is getting better. It's getting warmer. It's getting more sunny. So then you can find me on the water as often as I can. What about my work life then? Well, I have a consulting and sales background, at different startups, scale-ups, and now at a bigger company. And currently I'm leading our international pre-sales team here at ATOSS. So on the right, you can see some photos with my colleagues, one in Brussels. And yeah, that is really the main theme throughout my work, is that we're doing these multi-country projects. I focus only on enterprise sales. It's a highly complex product, highly complex sales cycle, a very big deal size. And we actually only sell one product in my team. So that's very clear, it's very straightforward, but the product itself has many dimensions to it. And in total, I've been with ATOSS a little longer than 3 years. And I would say I'm still learning every day, and I'm learning in this niche. The niche is workforce management, and I would say, yeah, that is really something I had to grow into, because what is workforce management is everything from personnel scheduling until time registration and everything that comes to it, like qualification management, employee integration, forecasting, how many employees do I need at what moment, at what workplace, etc. And I would say I grew up in sales, in pre-sales. I started as an infant. I was selling features. I was making a lot of assumptions, and I was telling my story all the time. So what did this lead to? It would say that I started my demo, and I said, well, hello, I'm Reyno here at ATOSS. I'm gonna talk about our product today, and here are the 100 features that I would love you to understand. And we'll dive into each of them, maybe highlight a few sides to it, but it's gonna be feature focused. I made a lot of assumptions. Now that I look back on growing into pre-sales, I was always looking, okay, this is a manufacturer, what kind of problems might they have? I would use that in my story. I would show the right feature according to that assumption, and I would tell them the story that I had prepared. In the beginning, this was even scripted. I looked at my colleagues, I saw what they were doing right, and I tried to copy that and then tell that same story. I would say this was not working well. We were hitting our quota, but I really had to learn how to tailor that story. Presenting was never really my problem. It was more, what am I then selling? What is my message? And I would say there are 3 things that have really changed in that. First of all is the scope of what I'm talking about. And then I'm already not talking about features anymore. I won't tell you in any modern day demo, these are the 100 features, or these are the 40 features that you need to look into. No, I've scoped it down and say, okay, today we're going to talk about scheduling employees, but within that scheduling, I'm going to take one problem and one solution to it when I go to demos. But I'm also not giving a demo the moment I'm asked to do it. I'm first diving into a deep discovery, and such a discovery can often be multiple meetings. So this is really something I'm advocating for, and something we are implementing in our sales processes here at ATOSS, that we really get to understand the customer on a level where we might know their problems better than they do. And that is because we are in this workforce management environment. We know these projects. We've got many reference cases. So I think you could say that we are the experts, and the customer often doesn't know what they're looking for, and often doesn't know what their problems really imply. I think it's our job to really put the focus on that and make that concrete and put it out there. And I would say I'm giving less answers than when I was starting in pre-sales. I'm not telling my story anymore, but I'm asking a lot of questions. You often see that prospects are becoming curious, and I would say I'm only answering this curiosity when a prospect puts it out there explicitly. So what does it mean in practice? In practice, it means that I always start with pain. What is the problem? What is the pain that a customer or a prospect has? And that leads me to my next topic, which is no pain, no gain. I think you cannot start without knowing this pain. And knowing a pain is not just mentioning the topic, not just knowing, this one retail company has this one pain, but knowing a pain means, okay, I know the situation, I know what problems this gives them, but I also know the implication of it to the business, to its employees, and every stakeholder around it. And I think, coming to the topic of this meeting, if we want to talk about benefits, if we want to talk about value we're bringing, we must know what pain we're solving. I've put together this great chart. I hope you like it. All the design skills are Reyno only. I think you cannot show, you cannot give any benefit or any value if you don't know what pain you're solving. And such a pain should be personal. You can say this organization, ATOSS, as an organization has a specific pain, but why would I care? I personally, Reyno, in my office in the Netherlands, in my international working environment, maybe don't care about that specific problem we have. But I've got my personal problems. I've got personal pains that I would like to have solved. And I think it's our jobs as pre-sales consultants, solutions engineers, to find this pain and to answer to it. It also needs to be specific. The pain should not be a general pain, saying something like in this down economy, there is a problem that every company has. No, it needs to be specific to that one organization that you're talking to. And last but not least, the buyer needs to agree with the pain. So how I often do that is that I try to find this pain by asking questions. I often can bring a lot of examples of other companies, of other customers of ours that had specific pains. And I ask them if something like that is playing up in their organization as well. And the most often heard answer is no, but we've got something else. Letting the buyer agree is really key here. So if they don't agree that they have this pain, then you can just throw it away. It needs to be recognized by them. It needs to be personal, and it needs to be specific. And there's, of course, the well-known spin selling book. I think it's from 1987, if I'm correct. It's question-based consultative selling, looking into the situation, problem, implication, and need payoff. My question to you is this an outdated method, or is it more relevant than ever? I've seen a lot of conversations in the community that say, well, we should turn the spin around. Nowadays, with internet selling, customers contacting you, the pain, the problem should be first. So it's peace in instead of spin. Spin is outdated. We don't need to ask about the situation. There are also other rumors that say, spin selling itself is outdated. We've got this different method now. Of course, there have been other books. There have been many talks about this. But in the basis, what I want to take from this is that this question-based and consultative selling is more relevant than ever. A buyer wants to be enabled. A buyer wants to go their own way. A buyer does his or her research online. They know your competition. They know your industry. They know different software that's out there. So maybe it becomes more important than ever that we understand their situation, their problem, and the implication of that to their business more than ever. With that, when we say, is this outdated? Is this something we can still use? My next question to you would be, when is the right time that a prospect is contacted? Are we waiting for them to contact us? And when they contact us, they probably have an answer to their problem already. They know they've got a certain problem and they're looking for a solution. Could also be that you say, well, we need to start before that. I think the moment a prospect contacts us, when they leave a message on our website, a contact request, we're often too late. because that will mean that they have found a problem themselves. They are looking for the solution to that problem. But if you want to dive into the problem, if you want to dive into that pain, if you want to make that concrete, if you want to know the personal pain someone has, its implication and details, then I think you need to be there before that. You need to be interacting with your prospects even before they're looking to buy something new. And when they then contact you, what do you start with? This is actually a little joke I'm making, because there's nothing more on this slide. It's an empty slide. I would recommend to start with nothing. Start without any assumptions. Start without the message the buyer told you. Just go there and ask them about their pain. Ask them about their problem. Ask them about their situation, about their implications of the problem to their business, to their finances, etc. And when talking from this experience, the way we are implementing that in our sales processes, and very successfully, I would say, I've got a few tips for you that I hope will help you. The first one is ask the tough questions. Ask the questions where the buyer will feel uneasy. Ask the questions where the buyer will maybe feel attacked. Maybe you hold a mirror in front of them and tell them, you know, you've got these 17 systems, you've got these different ways of doing things, but is that really the right thing? It might be hurtful to them, but if you go to that deep level of understanding pain, in the end, I think every buyer is looking for that. A second tip I have for you on this topic is that you should have a benchmark ready. Let them compare. So if you want to quantify that pain, say, okay, you know, the implication of doing your process this way or not using such a tool is, let's say, $1 million. You could say, well, we've got a benchmark. Companies like you, same size, same industry, often have a quantifiable pain with this number on it. And ask them to compare that to their situation. They will often say, no, our business is very specific, it's very different from your benchmark. You cannot compare them. But the way I'm using this is that I always have this benchmark with me. It's a very specific one because I'm looking for specific problems, specific pains. And I tell them, okay, you know, I've just been at this other company and they are looking to save $1 million. That is because their pain is actually at this amount, and these are the 3 reasons for that. How is that in your situation? And you will often get to this deep level where you can really discuss this pain and quantify it together. I would highly recommend to do a thought experiment and get buy-in from them. So with that, I mean that you often don't have the data. Sometimes you do, maybe in your niche, you always do. But in our niche, we often don't have any data to quantify this pain. If you don't have that data, I think you can still get to a quantifiable pain by doing a thought experiment. Tell them, imagine in every store or in every production plant you have, or in every financial center of excellence. Imagine that there is a certain unreliability, that there's a certain scheduling problem. What would be the implication of that? Make it very concrete and then ask them, could this be the case? Could it be the case that in your organization you have such a problem? Next tip I've got for you is go up the ranks, start low, ask the operations leader first what pains, what problems they have, and then go higher up in the organization and tell them, you know, this is what the last guy, the last woman told me. So is that also something that you see? And in the end, even though you're asking all these tough questions, you're going through multiple meetings, keep it simple. In the end, go to one slide, say, these are your potential savings. This is the problem you have. This is the implication to your business. And make sure that you can keep it to one slide. So I told you I'm going to tell you a little bit about my childhood, and with that I mean my professional one. So I came into pre-sales, and would say the first feeling I had was being overwhelmed. I saw all these colleagues with 20, 30, sometimes 40 years of experience at our company, at other companies, and that would overwhelm me. I would say there was so much knowledge I felt I didn't have. I would get so many questions during a demo that I could not answer, that I had to say, well, we've got a technical specialist for that. I felt really overwhelmed. But together with you, I would like to take a look at what defines an expert. When does a customer trust you to bring this value? When do they trust the numbers you gave them for the pain? And when could you use that in your sales project? But before we go there, I've got another question for you. How experienced would you say you are in your current position? So I remember starting at pre-sales, I've really felt like I was at level 1 out of 100. I didn't know anything. I couldn't answer any of their questions. What would you say? What level are you at?
And yeah, go ahead and leave comments.
Yes.
While people are typing their comments, there was a question asked from a previous slide. Would you like me to read that one real quick?
Yes, please.
Okay, Natasha said, do you differentiate between various levels of OP pain, operational versus critical business issue?
Yeah, my answer to that would be it depends. So indeed, there are different levels of pain. An operational one could be very different from a critical business issue. In the end, this has to do with the implication of that pain to the business. So I would say that's what differentiates these different pains. Talking to different levels, different positions within a company, you would get different answers. And I would normally gather all of these, put them together, and together discuss what the implications of these are to the business.
Awesome, thank you. Now back to the question on the slide. On a scale of 1 to 100, where do you feel your current experience is? And it looks like we've got another broad spectrum. We've got 1, we've got 70, 40, 90, 75, 60, 30, 85, 80, a couple of different 80s, 60, 95. So another pretty good, spectrum of experience levels.
Great. And thanks everyone for leaving your comments. Yeah, exactly. So we've got many different levels of experience. I would say that's also what I have in my team here at ATOSS. If I have to rate myself, that's very hard, because I would say my perspective keeps changing. So if you compare me to what I was when I started at pre-sales, I would rate myself somewhere in the 80 to 90 range, I would say. But on the other hand, I would say that now that I'm coming into this range, I'm also expanding my horizon. I'm looking at different organizations. I'm getting in touch with different members of the community. And when you do that, you feel like, oh, there's so much more I can learn. Yeah, I know our product very well. I know our value very well. I know our process very well, and I know how I can improve that. But with that, you will also see that you shift into new areas where you say, I can really learn from this. Basically, being seen as an expert, and this is just from my personal perspectives, I would say you're an expert when you are challenging me, first of all. So I, as a buyer, want to be challenged. I want to, think outside my current box, whether I come to you with my specifications, with my requirement sheet, or whether I come to you with a general question about your product. I want you to challenge me and to take me to next levels of understanding. Then I would say you're an expert. I'd love for you to be full of knowledge. I'm always looking at someone that really has all this knowledge that I don't have, and then would regard you as an expert. But I would only accept that if I think you're also trustworthy. I see I made a spelling mistake, sorry. But you should show some proof there. You should show that you're really this expert based on facts. Something that I didn't know before, something that I can really trust because you've got your numbers correct, then I would say you're an expert. But there's one thing that I would say is more important than all of that. I only talk to experts when I see their value. You can be so full of knowledge. If the knowledge is not relevant to me, I don't think I will spend much time with you. You can be challenging me all the way you want, but if I'm not interested, if I don't see what's in it for me, then I'm not listening to you. If I think you're trustworthy, but it's not touching my area, then I would never listen to you. So this is why value is so important. It makes all the other things go away. Looking at current circumstances in economic circumstances, but also business circumstances, I think it's more relevant than ever to show this value and to show the proof there. And I'd like to do a little experiment with you, as I announced, a little thought experiment. One more question, last question of the session. Don't worry about it. But I would like to ask you, how did you start using Google? I don't know if everyone has experienced the start of Google, but how did you first hear of Google and when did you start using it? Please leave a comment about that.
Yeah, I'm the same, and I don't remember. Let's see.
I can imagine you don't remember.
Yeah, someone said they started using it in 1998, and let's see. Someone said they probably Googled it at the time and then started using it.
That's a great answer.
1999 from a colleague. After AOL Yahoo searches around 8 years ago, someone told them it was faster than their current browser. Ask Jeeves, that was one I was thinking of, actually. There were other engines like Alta Vista and Ask Jeeves. I remember Ask Jeeves. Let's see, another don't remember. And then they dumped CompuServe. And then, I don't think most of us remember. It just kind of happened that we all moved over to Google, it seems like.
Yeah, exactly. Great. Thanks a lot again for the comments. It's fun. And this is exactly what I was thinking when thinking about this question. How did I start using Google and when did I hear of it? I actually remembered getting this answer from someone. I asked her a question and she answered me, "Oh, I'll Google it." And I didn't know what it meant. And I looked into it together with her. And it was crazy that you could just enter your question and get an answer to it. I was actually not familiar with other search engines at that time. But I want to jump into this time machine together. And we all know Google. If we jump into this time machine, we see an older version of Google. This is one from 2003, from 20 years ago. And the oldest one I could find was this one from 1998. If we jump into this time machine and let's say Google is a product that needs to be sold, a product that needs to be negotiated. So it's not an accessible product like it is. Just doing this experiment together. Imagine that someone would love to buy Google, love to buy Google search from you. and would leave a contact request on your website, it ends up in my inbox. Get this email saying like, hey, there's this buyer that wants to buy your Google search product. What would be the best answer to that? Knowing that we're talking about pain, knowing that we're talking about value. Maybe your buyer is currently using a different search engine. Maybe your buyer is currently just using books. Maybe your buyer is not using any of these, but something else. Then what would the right answer to that question be, to a contact request on buying Google search? Should the answer be, we've got this great product, here's the price? Should the answer be, let me give you a demo, and then wow them with the possibilities of Google search? Or should the answer be, well, what are you looking for? What are you doing today? And my take on that is that you have to start with the last one. You have to start with, what are you doing today? What is the thing that you're trying to solve? Because in the end, in all three ways, you will sell the same product, and maybe even for the same price if you play it right. But I think only when starting with this problem, you can show the value that Google search truly has. If they tell you that they're currently using books, then you can tell them about the time saving that they will get with this product. If they tell you they're using a different search engine, you can maybe talk about the number of pages the index contains, or the quality of the algorithm behind it. But you can only address such specific problems if you know what this problem is and if it's very concrete. And I'd like to dive a little bit into objections with you from this perspective. So from this perspective of knowing the problem better and selling value. These, you can find all these sales books on objection handling, but I would summarize them in this way. I would say there are three options you can there are three options you have when answering to an objection. You can let the buyer give up the fight, say, okay, whatever, I will stop this discussion because this guy keeps overruling me. You can let the buyer agree with your view. Maybe you're a very smooth talker and you've got a different view that you want the buyer to agree with. You can also leave the objection unanswered. You can just start talking about something else. But my question to you with that is, what are you then doing? Are you treating the underlying problem, or are you treating symptoms? And will this in the end lead to a successful sale? Maybe the probability of that is a certain percentage. Maybe it's 30, 50, 70%, that in these cases you will win the deal. But I think there's a better way of doing that. And my answer to all these objections is value. If the objection is the competitor's price is lower, my answer is we can offer you more value and I will prove that. If the objection is the adoption of your tool takes too long, the implementation project is too long, or it's too complex, my answer is there's more value in our product. If the objection is your competitor offers feature XYZ, my answer is there's more value in the whole suite of our product. And I think this is the fundamental into answering to such objections. And you can only do that when you've started with this problem, started with this pain. If you know the pain, if you know the personal pain of the buyer, if you know it very specifically, then you can sell this value very specifically and very personal to the buyer. If we think about who is the one deciding to buy, is that the first person you get in touch with, the one that left the contact request, for example, or the one you did your cold call, cold email, cold LinkedIn message to? Is it someone you never get to talk to? You're talking to maybe a project leader and the one who decides is somewhere above. You never get to talk to that person directly. Or is it a decision maker that gets involved later in the project? So you've got your first 3 meetings with someone and only then you get to talk to this decision maker. I think, you can handle each of these, and every project, every niche on the market will be different. But I think you can answer to all of these by bringing value and by solving their pain. And then with that, you have different types of buyers. So there's this one, I took it from this source, Growth Aspire, because I think, we can have a discussion which types of buyers are correct. Are there 4 types of buyers? Are there 5? Are there 10? Are there 20? There are all these different books. I've read many of them. But I liked this summary a lot because of the acronym setup, but also because I think there's a lot of truth into this summary. We can have a strategic buyer that is thinking about the long-term benefit of the products you're selling. We can have an economic buyer, the one that's just looking for ROI. Tell me, please, what does it cost? What does it benefit me? You can have the technical buyer, the one that created the feature list. We've got all these specifications, all these requirements, and I'm just looking for the vendor that answers to all of them in the very best way. You can have a user buyer, this end user that is just looking for easiness. It's looking for all these emotional aspects to it. I feel like your product is very complex. I feel like your product is beautiful. I feel that it's easy to use on my phone. And you can have a project-focused buyer, someone that sees the complexity, knows the complexity, is looking for the best type of implementation and adoption in her organization, best timeline, best services that you can offer. Then my question to you is, with these types of buyers, do you change your story when delivering value to them? And what kind of value do you bring them? If we have, for example, the CFO, that is the one that is looking for benefits, it's looking for ROI. Are you selling a different kind of value? When you've got the COO that is just looking for these strategic benefits, he's looking 3 to 5 years ahead. Where's his organization going, and what kind of value can you bring? If you've got the technical expert with these feature lists, with these specifications that you're answering, is it a different kind of value that you're bringing? The project lead, the one that's looking for implementation, for timelines, for SLAs, etc. And the end user, is there a different value that you bring them? My answer is that when you know the pain and problem very specifically, very personally, then you can bring them a very specific value. In the end, I think it will be the same for all of these. It will be the same answer to all their objections, and it will be the same answer to what they're looking for. There will be a specific ROI if you know the pain and if you know your value. There will be specific strategic benefits if you know the pain, if you know your value. There will be specific feature explanations if you know the pain, if you know your value, etc., etc. So in 2023, focus on getting this insight on problems and pains and showing the value you can bring and prove it. Then how would we put this into practice? And I'm coming to the end of the session I'd like to have today. A little bit about ATOSS and how we do this practically. And first of all, I would like to highlight our annual report. You can find it through this link. The annual report we set out because we're a publicly listed company. And we focus on value on every part of the process. In our annual report, you cannot just find our financials, but you can find many customer stories, many leadership stories, many behind-the-scene stories, because we want to show the market that we are bringing a certain value and that we're going for these long-term partnerships. And these partnerships we can prove, and that's what I often tell our prospects. I can tell them that we've got customers across 6 continents. I can tell them that we're the #1 workforce management provider in Europe. I can tell them about our low churn rates, our customers are staying with us a very long time. It's currently below 1.5%. I can tell them about our record growth years because customers are putting their money where their mouth is. And I can tell them that we're value driven. I can prove it by letting them talk to all our reference customers. And I can put them in touch with them, with our customers and our partners. Throughout these points, I am highlighting our value. I am highlighting what we can do to them and how we will be a great partner to them. The same goes with our product. It's an enterprise product. It's a highly complex world that we're in. It's a full cloud product, and maybe that doesn't sound that special to you, but if you know that our company was founded in the late 80s, then you know that having one native cloud product can be a real challenge. Not for us. For us, we are in this successful cloud transformation, and our customers are coming with us to the cloud. They trust us fully. They trust our product, and they see the value that we bring. There's a very deep level of detail and configuration that they can do in our product that our competitors can't. We're using all the latest technology. We can prove that as well. And with that, we prove how advanced we are. Story in all these features, in all these characteristics of our product is the value it brings to them. It's the value from choosing one product that will support their processes in the best way. Then, last but not least, our team. What about our team? Well, we've got a team with many nationalities. We're over 100 nationalities in our team. We've got 15 offices, so we're always close to our customers. And our team are real experts. Here you see a photo of me with some of my colleagues. This was a lot of fun for a big magazine shoot we did earlier this year. But again, what are we showing when we're talking about our team and when we're letting our team meet our prospects? We're talking about values. We are talking about being close to them, understanding them, speaking their language, and being experts in our field. And then our customers are really happy about that. We've got this quote from Barry Callebaut. It's one of the biggest chocolate producers in the world that says, "We've placed our trust in ATOSS, and this is proof that I can bring to another prospect." We've got this quote from DPD that says, we're looking for this greater productivity and flexibility across the entire company, and it's helping us in living our mission. That is the value that ATOSS brings to them. And that is exactly what I bring into sales processes. If you want to join us, if you want to know more about that, get in touch with me. My email address is in here. You can find me on LinkedIn, and I would love to get in touch with you. I hope you liked this session a lot, and I will hope that next time you name them your prize, their only answer is, "You're so valuable." Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you, Reyno, for that. That was a great presentation. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to pop in either in the chat or the Q&A box? All right. Well, doesn't look like there's any questions right now. Last chance if anybody's got any. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Let's see. The theme I am employing with my org is discover for value, so you can strategize to win. This changes the way one discovers. You are no longer discovering what to show. You are discovering the value the customers need from your solution, and helps inform the entire sales strategy. Not just what you demo, but always demo to value. That was from Tim Buggy.
Exactly. I think this is what takes you to that next level that I was talking about. not just demoing your solution, demoing your features, but really showing that value that you're bringing through everything you're doing, through the demo, through the discovery, etc. So completely agree with you, Tim. Yeah.
And then Eduardo Franken said, really good presentation. Thanks. Can you share the slides? We leave that up to our speakers. So Reyno, that's up to you. But we also encourage you to join the Discord community because that's where you can talk with speakers after. And if the speakers want, they can share their slides through there.
Yes, I'm happy to share them. So I can do that there, or you can send me a message and I'll share them directly. Great. Then thanks everyone for attending, and thanks for the great interaction.
And Reyno, if you wouldn't mind stop sharing so I can go through just a couple more housekeeping items.
Yes.
Let's see, make sure I've got the right one. Okay. We want to remind everyone about our DEMOFEST game, where each session you attend and each session feedback survey you fill out gets you points to win some awesome prizes. We are very excited to be bringing DEMOFEST on the road again as DEMOFEST X. We had a great time in San Francisco in March, and we can't wait to bring the event to Dublin, London, and New York City later this year. You can register to join us at any of these events at demofest.com. Or in the link that's in the Docs tab on the right of your screen. We also encourage you to stop by our Expo Hall to visit our premier partners of DEMOFEST. Remember, there is no transfer of money involved in this event, so all of our partners here have gone above and beyond to contribute to making this event a success for all of you. Thank you for joining us for your so valuable, demonstrable benefit for every buyer. And thank you again, Reyno, for that valuable insight and knowledge. Up on the screen are the upcoming sessions. You will automatically be pushed to the next session in your track, but you can switch tracks or sessions by toggling to the agenda tab on the top left of your screen. And we'll see you all soon. Thank you very much.